A publishing company hired me, and I've been there for 10 years. I got married 2 years ago after falling in love at work, and I was promoted to section chief in the sports newspaper department. Something unexpected occurred right when I believed everything was going as planned. When I got to work one morning, my boss came up to me grinning smugly. This dude is very annoying. He is constantly pointing out flaws in others and reporting them to our management. Keith rarely performs his regular duties, so it's difficult to know if he's here to work or merely to criticize others. I'm not sure why someone like that is the head of a sector. And he comes up grinning today, as usual. "Hey Ethan, Keith wants you in the first conference room." I said, "Got it," and made a beeline for the room. I heard Keith's voice approaching as I knocked on the door of the conference room. I opened the door and said, "Pardon me." The first people to look at me were the leaders of the HR and sports departments. "Ethan, do you know anyone at Johnson Publishing?" Keith said. Since I didn't know, I replied, "No, I don't." Then Keith revealed something shocking. Our exclusive scoop on Mike, a pro baseball player's move to the majors, was published as a scoop by Johnson Publishing. "No way," I exclaimed. To gather that information, I had spent days in a bar that Mike frequents. How did Johnson's scoop get publicized? Chuck responds, "You've got a friend from your university working at Johnson Publishing, right?" Stop it. Am I under suspicion of disclosing information to a Johnson Publishing employee? Stunned, I inquired. But I'm not really sure, Keith. I was completely unaware of the Johnson Publishing employee you mentioned. I wouldn't simply give a scoop that I spent months working on to another business. I clarified, but Keith's face stayed grim. Then Jonathan, the HR director, informed me, "We can't rely only on your word because of Chuck's testimony. You've been put to work in a regional branch until this leak is resolved." I was shocked to hear it. A local location without a professional baseball team. The likelihood of them hosting a professional game once a year is quite low. If nothing else, I might be able to write out a high school baseball team that frequently attends the Nationals. However, this is obviously a demotion. So beginning the following week, I was moved to the regional office. Chuck came over to me after the meeting, as he often did. "So, Ethan, you will be in charge of the regional branch's sports department." "Congratulations, then." I gave Chuck a scowl. "Why did you make up such a lie?" "It's not a lie. Isn't Todd from Johnson Publishing your university junior?" "It's not incorrect," Chuck smiled. "Todd at Johnson Publishing is not someone I know. Even whether he attends the same university is unknown to me. He is not someone I know at all." I yelled, "Stop spreading rumors." Chuck's smile widened. "I simply presented the facts. I don't care how things turn out." I became aware that I had been set up at that point. He put the leak on me after purposefully implying to Keith that Todd and I attended the same university, implying some sort of link. Even though this is absurd, anger won't alter the truth. They're moving me. I told Michelle, my wife, about it when I got home. She was taken aback. "What, starting next week, the countryside? Isn't that a bit abrupt?" "Yes, I apologize. After a few years, I believe I'll be able to return to the headquarters, although it might be difficult for some time as long as Chuck is working in the sports department." Michelle sat there contemplating, and then she made an astounding statement. "Let's get a divorce." "What? What do you mean, get a divorce?" Then Michelle, with a cold expression I'd never seen before, said, "Because I just can't stand the idea of living in the countryside. Leaving New York is out of the question." "So you want me to move alone?" I asked, confused. Her reply was even more astonishing. "Move alone? No, I mean divorce." "Divorce?" I repeated, shocked. "A demotion with no guarantee of return to headquarters means your career is over, right? There's no point in staying with someone who's got no future." Everything went dark in front of me. Is divorce really considered this easily, just for falling off the career track? I married you thinking you were promising and secure since you became a section chief in your 20s. But being banished to a country branch? Unbelievable. That made it clear. Michelle didn't love me for who I was. She married the title of a young section chief at a major publishing company, likely on the fast track to success. After hearing Michelle's cold words, my feelings cooled off fast. I didn't feel like trying to make her stay or convincing her otherwise. We really did become strangers again, just like that, with a single piece of paper. After that, I packed up my things within a week and moved on. The evening I moved my stuff into my new apartment, I decided to head to the supermarket, a 10-minute walk away, to grab some dinner from the prepared food section. I picked up some pizza for dinner and some pastry for breakfast the next morning. When I left the supermarket, it started to drizzle. The rain quickly turned into a downpour that felt like a squall. By the time I got to my new apartment, my hair and shoulders were pretty wet. As I hurried inside, I noticed someone in the alley next to the building. Someone was crouching down. I approached and saw a drenched woman sitting there. She might be ill. I hardly asked her, "Hey, are you okay? Are you feeling sick?" The woman slowly lifted her face. She was pale, her eyes vacant. This is bad, I thought. Should I call an ambulance? No, first I need to get her inside. Hey, I live on the 3rd floor of this building. There's a laundromat on the 1st floor. Want to dry off your wet clothes? You'll catch a cold like that. I offered. I'm not a weirdo or anything. Here's my business card. She took the card, looked at it, glanced up at my face with a start, then nodded emotionlessly. At the entrance, I handed her a towel, some sweatpants, and a hoodie and showed her to the bathroom. Take your time changing. Feel free to use the shower, I said, closing the bathroom door. After a while, the woman came out. Thank you. I'm sorry, she said, bowing her head. No, are you feeling all right now? Yes, I'm sorry to worry you. It was just a little fainting spell from anemia, she replied. I made some coffee and we chatted as we drank. I introduced myself, mentioned I just moved in that morning, and that I'd be starting work at the publishing company the next day. To my surprise, she said she worked at the same company. My name's Samantha. I guess I'll be working under you, Ethan. I'm in charge of accounting. Wow, really? I'm surprised we're at the same company. It's nice to meet you. I just moved in, so I don't really know anything yet. After that, she shared more about the company, and we made small talk. She seemed to relax knowing we worked at the same place, and she opened up quite a bit. So, I decided to ask something that had been on my mind. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but why were you in that alley? Yes, I've actually been dealing with a stalker, Samantha explained. She had been harassed by a stalker for several months. Even today, she felt she was being followed from the station. She had reported it to the police before, but they said they couldn't take action without evidence of a direct attack or similar harm. Today, just a few yards from her home, someone tried to grab her arm, so she threw her umbrella at the stalker and ran into the alley. That must have been scary, I said, as Samantha's face grew dark recalling the event. I made a suggestion. If it's okay with you, would you like to walk home together starting tomorrow? I can escort you from the office to your house, since it's nearby. Her face lit up instantly. Really, that would be so helpful. Thank you so much. Samantha thanked me repeatedly, looking relieved. The next morning, I went to the branch office bright and early. The floor housed the sports, economy, society, entertainment sections, and also the general affairs and accounting departments. The branch had a completely different atmosphere from the headquarters. Every employee worked efficiently, cooperating to avoid overtime as much as possible. It seemed like this is how companies should be. When I peeked into the accounting department, I saw her face. Just after the end of the day, I approached Samantha, and we left together. That evening, we had dinner at a restaurant she recommended, since she was a local. From then on, we ate dinner together every night. I feel kind of bad making you walk me home every day while enjoying delicious seafood at a place she suggested, Samantha said apologetically. It's fine. I'm grateful for the good company and great food in a town I'm still getting used to, I replied. She smiled warmly at my response. We spent every evening together, sharing stories about our lives. She had divorced a few months ago after her husband had an affair. Soon after becoming single, she started seeing the same guy at her local convenience store. Eventually, he began following her and harassing her. She was genuinely scared when we met and was thankful to have someone to walk home with. On our days off, we started going out for meals together, and she showed me around to the stores with the best deals and the tastiest deli food. Gradually, I began to develop feelings for this incredibly kind woman. This went on for about a week. One day, after work, as usual, I walked Samantha to her apartment building. As she entered the entrance and I was about to leave, I heard a woman scream. Cut it. Be the stalker, I thought. He had given up following her. I rushed back at full speed and burst into the entrance of her apartment building. There, in front of me, was Samantha being embraced by a man in a black hoodie. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Get away from her. I shouted as I twisted the man's wrist, causing him to kneel and fall. I put both of the man's arms in a tight chokehold and said to Samantha, "Call 911." I shouted, "If you come near her again, I won't go easy on you." I grabbed the man by the scruff of his neck and threatened him. Minutes later, the police arrived and arrested the man, who was found to have a stun gun and a box cutter in his pockets. "Thank you so much," I comforted the trembling, crying Samantha, assuring her, "It's all going to be okay." Now the stalker would probably be locked up for a while, but Samantha seemed deeply affected. "I'm scared to enter my apartment alone from tomorrow," she started crying as she spoke through her trembles. I reached out to the real estate agent for my apartment building. They mentioned there were 2 vacancies in my apartment now. "Samantha, it's a bit cheaper compared to here, but there are empty apartments in my building. How about moving in?" I suggested. "So does that mean I'd be coming home to the same place as you, Ethan?" She looked me straight in the eyes as she said it. "If you're in the same building, I can make sure you get home safely every day." Her face brightened with a smile as she said, "Please introduce me to the real estate agent." That weekend, the whole office helped with Samantha's move. The newspapers had run a story titled "Hero from New York Thwarts Stalker," so that became the talk of the day. During the move, it was good to see my martial arts training from my student days come in handy. Since moving into the same building, Samantha started bringing over stew she had made in excess, saying she'd made too much. I've got this subtle feeling that a romantic sentiment is starting to sprout between Samantha and me. Neither of us has said anything about it yet, but I really enjoy the time I spend with Samantha now. Being demoted and then divorced before coming here, I was honestly just shocked. But now, I think it was all part of the right course of events. Word on the street is that my ex-wife has been making advances on Chuck. When Chuck's wife found out, it caused a scandal, leaving Chuck out of the company and my ex-wife in a mess with the lawsuit. Hearing that, I couldn't help but think, well, karma's a thing. I'm about to make a fresh start here, and I'm determined to never let Samantha go through such fear again. I want to protect her. Smile.